The Judgment of Paris is an opera by Daniel Purcell. He was we don't know really, he was either the brother or the cousin of Henry Purcell. And he wrote the opera in 1701 for a competition, and it's never been recorded before, and we're going to change all that. Paris is a shepherd who is chosen by the gods to decide which of three goddesses is the most beautiful. Pallas, the goddess of war, Venus, the goddess of love, and Juno, the goddess of marriage. It takes him quite a long time to decide. Each one of the goddesses tries to persuade him that they are the one to be chosen. They offer him different rewards for his choice, but in the end he picks Venus, the goddess of love, and everyone is happy ever after.
I thought very much about who would be the right soloists for it. I think getting the singers right is essential, and thinking to myself, you have three goddesses, and how different are they? You need a very seductive soprano, then you need a much more forthright type of singing for the goddess Pallas, who we have with Amy Freston. We're very fortunate. I mean, this is not to say she can't sing seductively, but she also has that ability to give lots of energy to the text.
It's a really interesting project, this actually, because I wasn't aware of Daniel Purcell before. Obviously I know Henry and I've sung quite a lot of his music, and when I was asked to do it, I didn't know anything about it at all. And because there is no recording and there's nothing to refer to, so it's quite exciting to be doing something for the first time. But it is definitely different to Henry, but it's lovely. It's really beautiful music, and it has a lot of life about it, which I hadn't really imagined in the same way. It's got a real kind of youth about it.
You've got Venus, who's wonderfully seductive. She sort of should caress the ear, if you like. And so we have the delightful Anna Dennis doing that.
I'm singing Venus, and she seems supremely confident of her chance of success with Paris. And she, in terms of all of these splendid women who are sort of vying for the pole position, she does have one very unassailable piece of logic that she uses, which is to say that she's more powerful than any god because love rules them. Love rules everything, really, and she is in control of love, essentially. And I think that's a really neatly put piece of logic. In that sense, a lot of the music, she doesn't seem desperate about it. She just seems to be sort of trying to get him to just see her natural position above the others. So it's all quite elegant and quite sort of languid, and a lot of repetition and reiteration of these points, but she doesn't seem desperate, and it would ill befit Venus to be desperate, probably.
Paris is an interesting world. He's like sort of a kid in a sweet shop. He's got everything in front of him. He can choose from these three goddesses, and I think we were looking for someone who has a lot of agility in the voice. I mean, one of the things about Daniel Purcell's piece is it's very virtuosic and very florid, very Italianate, and we needed someone who had that real agility. So someone who obviously sang with their body but also had that agility. So Sam Boden, I think, was the perfect answer to that.
As the editor of the edition, I'm very much used to hearing this music played back to me on a computer. And so to come to a rehearsal and to actually hear how it's developing and how real people, fantastic musicians are crafting this piece is fantastically exciting, and it's amazing to think that we are the first people to be really looking at this music, certainly in the 21st century, and to be recording it, to be the first people to record it, and actually have an opportunity to have something to say about it is fantastic. For too long, people have assumed that Daniel Purcell is a lesser version of Henry Purcell. So he's not Henry Purcell, he's certainly not Handel. But actually, for too long, people have been looking at his music through this prism of those two composers, and he's neither. He exists in a small pocket, a small moment in time in English musical history where everything was up for grabs. There was a completely new century, there was a completely new direction that was called for. And this is his vision of where that new path was going to go. And we know now that 10 years down the line, Handel turns up and completely revolutionises opera. And by revolutionise, I mean bulldoze everything else out of the way. And it's not to say that Handel is fantastic music, but what could have been is represented by this opera.
Distracted I turn, but I cannot decide. So equal a title, sure never was tried. United your beauties, so dazzle the sight that lost in amaze I giddily gaze, confused, and overwhelmed with a torrent of light.